When it comes to competition for the 2019 Chevrolet Camaro, you probably think muscle cars. Challenger, Mustang, vehicles of that ilk. But would you consider hot hatches? Now normally I wouldn't either, but given this 4-cylinder turbo Camaro's low starting price and its performance characteristics, Chevrolet thinks it's a viable choice alongside weekend racer favorites like the Ford Focus ST, Volkswagen Golf GTI, and Subaru BRZ. Now I think it's an interesting point of comparison, so let's run with it. Can this Camaro Turbo 1LE stand up against some of the most fun cars to drive under $35,000? Well, let's find out. Let's start with performance, one area where the Camaro does shine alongside some atypical competition. The Camaro's chassis is built to handle gobs of V8 power, so when it comes to a 2-liter inline-4 putting out 275 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque, well, the car feels capable of just about anything you can throw at it. That's especially true with the 1LE package, which borrows the SS's suspension in addition to packing beefier Brembo brakes and wide summer tires. The steering is nicely weighted, and the car feels flat as a pancake when the going gets spirited. Power comes on smoothly, and while the 4-banger doesn't exactly have the most Camaro-appropriate note per se, it does sound nicely aggressive once you lean on it. The 6-speed manual has a nice smooth action, and the clutch has a very predictable bite point, making rev-matching downshifts a breeze. When it comes to around-town driving, the Camaro is pretty well composed. Despite having the stiffer suspension from the SS, it handles the rough stuff pretty well, although not as well as cars with multi-mode adaptive dampers in this price range like the Volkswagen GTI or the Honda Civic Type R. And while the tires provide a lot of grip, they also produce a lot of noise at highway speeds. The Camaro's redesign resulted in some polarizing opinions, but me, I got lucky. The Turbo is probably the best iteration of the 2019 Camaro, since it lacks that dark-colored span in the middle of the front bumper that everyone apparently seems to hate. Instead, on this car you get a decently aggressive look that's just a little more evolution than revolution. The $4,500 1LE performance package takes things a little far on the style side, though. It adds a number of black elements around the car, including the hood, mirrors, and spoiler. If I could just skip the hood and not make the car look like a runner-up at a hot import night show, well, I'd prefer that. One thing the Camaro will never have over its hot hatch competition is cargo space. It has just 9.1 cubic feet of space in its thin, deep trunk, and the opening is so high and so small that you'll have a little bit of trouble getting anything sizable back there. All muscle cars have cramped interiors, and the Camaro is no exception. Thanks to the styling, the glass has been compressed to mere slivers on basically all sides of the car. The hood goes on forever, the rear seat is halfway to make-believe. These aren't problems you have on a hot hatch, although in this segment the Subaru BRZ does suffer similarly. Material quality is all over the place. I really enjoy the leather on the doors, and the suede feels pretty nice, but all the plastic in the interior feels like it was made from leftover tubs from the Container Store. That said, I do appreciate the clever way that Chevy integrates the temperature dial into the climate vents down here, and I also appreciate the myriad of physical buttons for, well, just about anything you need. Another place the Camaro meets or beats its offbeat competition is technology. I am a big fan of Chevy's new Infotainment 3 system, which is, on this car, featured on an 8-inch touchscreen unit. It's more responsive than it used to be, and it has a slick new design with a login system that actually lets you log in from car to car so you can carry navigation directions or favorites with you wherever you go without having to reprogram them in. Now that backup cameras are standard, it's time to nitpick them. Thankfully, Chevrolet has upgraded the Camaro's backup camera so it not only has a suitable resolution, but a pretty wide field of view. What really ticks me off, though, about Chevy's features is the lack of front parking sensors. Chevy only has them on the back, where I already have a camera. What about my front end of indeterminate length? Am I supposed to just smash into every berm I see? Since my Tester has a 6-speed manual transmission, there are very few safety features on offer, save for some blind spot monitors on the side mirrors. Now, a lot of competitors offer a suite of safety systems as standard equipment these days, so I think it's a shame that Chevy even lacks the option for those systems. Now this Camaro 2LT is the most kitted out Camaro you can get with the 4-cylinder engine. It starts at about $28,500, and adding the 1LE Performance Pack brings that up to $33,000 or thereabouts. Now that is a little expensive, but it is still on par with competition both expected and unexpected. Now if you're only comparing the Camaro on a performance basis, it holds its ground against the Hondas and Subarus of the segment. It's rewarding to drive quickly, and its rear-wheel drive layout means you can get into the fun kind of trouble if you do it right. Its tech is near the top of the segment too. However, that comparison falls apart when you remember that it's a cramped coupe with limited visibility and even more limited capacities. Hot hatches offer an excellent blend of real-world capability and fun driving dynamics. If you only need a car for one job, well, the Camaro will kill it, but if you're doing double duty, it might be wise to look elsewhere.